The Cavs and Pistons face off tonight in Game 3 at 7 Eastern on ESPN. The Cavs have a 2-0 series lead, but now the series moves to Detroit. Stephen A., you are in Detroit. What do you expect to see tonight?
What I expect to see is an explosion from LeBron James. Again, I like Stanley Roberts a lot. I think he's got a very bright future, but he opened his mouth in a way that even Coach Stan Van Gundy admitted made him cringe a little bit. And I expect LeBron James to make him pay for it. Certainly, he might decide to be judicious and put up a triple-double, or he may just go berserk, Skip, and drop 40 to 50. But something is going to happen tonight for LeBron James to remind Stanley Roberts, I'm a 4-time league MVP and a 2-time champion.
Stanley Johnson.
Stanley Johnson.
It's all right.
Stanley Johnson, I'm sorry. I keep saying Stanley Johnson.
Yeah, we both covered Stanley Roberts once upon a time.
Stanley Johnson.
Yeah.
Not Stanley Roberts, LSU, Stanley Johnson for the Detroit Pistons. Yes.
Now, you're going to be at the game tonight?
I'm here. That's why I'm in Detroit.
Okay, I want to make sure because
I'm here.
I got to tell you, I agree with your premise. I agree LeBron is going to be primed for this one. I just like the guts and heart of this young Detroit team, especially at home. And you brought up the point the other day. You remember the heyday with all the build-up and the hubbub in that arena. It just could be explosive in there. I think Detroit's going to win this game tonight. I'm not saying they're going to win the series, obviously. I just like their spunk at home. I think they'll rise up and win one game in this series, and it's going to be, this is obviously the turning point game. I get what you're saying, though. It was not smart for what Stanley Johnson said.
I think they would have won tonight if Stanley Roberts had not opened his mouth. I think the fact that he did is different, and I think Stanley Johnson, I don't know why you say Stanley Roberts, Stanley Johnson. But let me say this to you. If there was ever a moment, not that LeBron has much to prove, but when we talk about the old school guys, the Kobes, the LeBron, the Michael Jordans, and beyond, you remember when people used to chirp and just make a mere mention of these dudes, and they'd step out on the court and annihilate you? Could you imagine if Stanley Johnson had done this to one of those players?
Nope. It would be over,
like,
man.
So this is one of those moments where tonight LeBron needs to go at him like that.
Okay, well, you're going to have to walk into that arena tonight now, and all those Piston fans are going to say, Stephen A., you don't have our back anymore, right?
Well, I love Detroit. I think it's a great sports town. And I love Stan Van Gundy and the job that he's done.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean and I like Reggie Jackson. I like Stanley Johnson.
So do I.
I like Andre Drummond.
But
I don't think you're good enough to beat LeBron if LeBron comes out there hell-bent on destroying you.
Okay. Detroit, I got your back. I got you
go ahead
tonight.
and do that.
All right.
I'm in the house. Ain't no way. I ain't worried about it.
All right.
I ain't worried about it. These are my peeps.
Yeah.
It's all love. It's all love.
All right.
Let's go to the other one here. After winning Game 1, the Pacers have lost 2 straight, including last night's 16-point loss at home in Game 3. Paul George struggled from 3 last night, making only 1 of his 8 shots. Stephen A., how much blame should George get for those losses?
I'm not going to give him but so much blame. He's a star. He showed up to play, but other guys have to show up to play. I'm looking at last night. Monte Ellis shooting 3 of 9 from the field, only scoring 7 points. George Hill only putting up 13. Lavoy Allen and other guys, what are they doing? I mean, the only guy that came to help him was Miles Turner. I'm not going to put that on Paul George. I think Paul George has had a great season. I think that he's somebody that's reminded the world of what a star he is, but he needs help. And other guys got to show up and do their job, especially against Toronto now that Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan seem to have gotten it going a little bit. They need to step up and help Paul George. He can't do it all by himself.
Okay, but after the Pacers convincingly won Game 1 at Toronto, you and I both said, that's it, Indiana's going to win this series. I think we both said in 6 games, right?
Yeah.
And the Pacers came up small in Game 2 and smaller at home in Game 3.
Right.
And I get what you say about Monte Ellis. I have no idea what this was. This was just nothing. I don't know what happened.
He didn't show up.
He didn't show up. But Paul George, we both agreed, is easily the best player on the floor. And DeMarre Carroll showed up for Toronto last night in Indianapolis because he was all over Paul George. I watched a lot of this game, and Paul George was just shut down last night. When he goes 1 for 8 from 3, that's going to be a problem. You're going to have a hard time. This game was over at halftime to me. Toronto came right out and took control, And this is an Indiana team that I try to like. I've tried to like them all year because any given night, they beat my Spurs in Indianapolis. I thought, boy, they look great in that game. But some nights, the whole team doesn't show up. So in this case, the whole team didn't show up. And now I don't think I'm picking the Pacers anymore to win this series.
I don't blame you for that, but I'm going to still stick with them for now. But I'm rooting for my man Dwayne Casey because I'm a fan. But I will tell you this, DeMarre Carroll was a huge pickup that they got in the offseason from Toronto for specifically this kind of purpose, to defend the likes of a Paul George. DeMarre Carroll can defend, and Paul George is going to have his work cut out for him. But it's real easier to defend him when no one else will show up.
Yeah.
When others show up to help him, you've got to change things a little bit. So the Monte Ellis of the world, the George Hills of the world, and others, they've got to show up and help. And Frank Vogel's got to figure out a way to free Paul George up a little bit more.
So we've gone this whole show, and we failed to even bring up the San Antonio Spurs that do play tonight. At Memphis, they play, and nobody talks about it.
You know what we failed to bring up?
No one does. Just America's
you know what we
team.
failed to bring up, Skip?
Yeah.
My man Jake Arrieta for the Chicago Cubs pitching a no-hitter. That's what we failed to bring up.
We care about the Spurs more than that.
Well, I care about the no-hitter, too.
I care about Steph Curry finishing fourth and most improved.
Yeah, let's talk about everything.
We've got 5
with the
seconds
Spurs.
left.
I do have your back, San Antonio.
Oh, here we go.
You keep on doing that against Memphis.
Stephen,
what a risk.
enjoy Detroit.
You're really going
Have
out there on
a
a
great
limb,
weekend.
Skip.